Railroad Preserver 2000 here, back again doing another video in Watkinsville, Georgia. And today I've got a little bit of an update. It's a pretty good one as far as news goes for the railroad. They are in the process of rebuilding this spur here so that it can handle a new transload facility that's going to go in right here. I've spoken to a friend of mine who works with the railroad, and he told me that's what they're going to be doing with this old siding here. Is they're going to rebuild it with better track so that it can handle train loads of whatever is being transloaded over here. Somebody apparently bought the old lumber yard here and is going to build a new transloading facility in this spot. So with that being said, that means they had to rip up all the old track. As you can see here, they've come in and ripped all of the old existing track up, and they're gonna relay new track, new ties and all into here, and they're gonna go and start basically they took the old track up so they can put a new track in so that a new transload facility can utilize the railroad to get equipment in and out. As you can see, they used heavy equipment to move the track out. All the old rail there is lined up, probably so they can haul it off at a later date. But where I'm standing used to be an old wood yard, and 10 to 15 years ago, my dad and I came down here when they had two old center beams and a boxcar parked on this old spur. And I remember I got into it, the boxcar, and he took my picture. There was still an old guard shack standing there with a gate, had an old soda machine inside of it. Yeah, this is actually quite interesting to me. But yeah, I believe they're going to relay the track where all this ballast is. So that'll be interesting to come back and check out. I figured since I was out practice driving this way, I'd stop and take a look. I'm glad I did. Might as well take a look at what else is still here. And there's some of the rail that's in the old concrete there that they took up. That'd actually be neat to hold on to. Well, here's an old brick. I can use that to mark where this is at. Cezina, if you see this, my friend, just an idea. That looks interesting enough to hold on to. Oh yeah, this is good ballast to lay track on. It's firm too, very firm. It's compacted nicely from what I can tell with my feet. Probably have to do a little bit more smoothing out and whatnot, but that's nothing I'm sure the railroad can't handle. They can manage it, I'm sure. And you can see they've also come in and started putting in new ties, I think, new ballast. Well, I'd say fairly new ballast, give or take. I want to see what was in this scrap pile over here, because these are all the old ties that they had to remove. Probably going to have to replace that one. I mean, as you can see, there are some they're going to have to replace. Yeah, but here's the rest of the scrap pile where they had to go in and rip up all of the old track. As you can see, that's all the old rail and whatnot from the old spur. Don't know if Zena would mind, but for the sake of why not, gotta save something. Take note, I got that from the scrap pile, not the active track. Yeah, but what he and the railroad are hoping for is that this new trackage and company will persuade, in a way, give any other companies moving in around here in this industrial park, you know, to give them an idea to you know, to go and say, hey, we have a railroad here pretty much right at our front door. Why not utilize that to improve our transportation and shipping, you know? And that makes sense. I mean, if I were a business owner who would needed to get stuff out and transported, well, I'd most likely utilize the railroad here. I see they've got the main line here cleared. They've got all the rest of the old ripped up rail over here on this siding. And here's something I just noticed. They've added a derail in. I think that's a used one that they recently brought in, because I don't recall seeing that before, so that's new. Yeah, here's all the rail that was in the ballast. You can see where they used, I guess, torches and heavy equipment to rip them up and out. So I'd imagine they'll probably bring some flat cars down here, probably some of the ones they're storing, and they'll probably haul them off. Either that or they'll use some kind of equipment to haul them off, one of the two. But I'm sure these rails are probably old as hell. Let's see. There's some dates right there. That's probably... No way. There is no way that says 1902. I'll be damned. It does. I don't know if that's the forging date or if that's the date for when they act. I don't know if that's the part of the patent number or the actual forge date, but that does say 1902. So this rail basically was 100 years old in 2002 and 110 in 2012. And technically that means if that date's right, it'll be 120 in 2022 if it's somehow still in one piece, which I doubt. There's an old spike corroded to absolute heck. But yeah, they used some kind of torch or cutters, because look at that, that sucker is sheared flat. So they must have used some kind of, I don't know, they probably used a torch or a saw, probably something around that line. What are these? Huh. Well, just tape things? Question mark? I have no clue. Yeah, you can see all the other spurs. There was one down there that went to the lumber yard that used to be here. There was one here that went to another industry. I'm sure Zena will correct me as to what it was in the comments of this thing. Walking on a frog point. You can see there's another track inside that spur, probably one they just laid there. I asked him what this wood thing was. I know the last video I did here, I said that looked like it was part of an old bridge. That's not exactly true. Apparently, from what Zena told me, this here used to be an older transloading operation. They would have had a dirt ramp here, and they would have had a backhoe dump stuff into the rail cars. I think from what he said, this was for a wood chip operation where they load wood chips onto the train and then ship that out. I need to get a stick in case there's snakes. And they've spray painted that. I don't remember that being spray painted pink. I don't know, I probably didn't notice it if that's the case. But I know usually most of the time up here they just would store rail cars. Further down the track there used to be a cement plant, which they tore down fairly recently. I think within the last year or two they came in and tore it down. Right here was an old feed mill, as evidenced by the Butler side silos here, the small silos. Here's where they would offload the hoppers right here. Grain would go through the car's hatches into this auger, probably go into those silos. I'm going to step over that. If they were to get this reopened, they'd probably have to put a whole new auger system in, because there's no telling if that one would still work. It might, but you never know. I remember this. There's this old switch here that could be salvaged. Heck, that could probably be reused over in Bishop, because they have a similar switch where a chunk of iron in the bottom's missing. Then you see there's more rail they had to replace. I think this was another mill here, if I remember right. I think if I recall last, somebody came in and fixed it up. to some degree, yeah. Yeah, because I remember years ago that was open. Like you could just walk in there if you wanted to. But it looks like somebody went in and fixed it up because the wood underneath looks new. Which is good. I'm glad somebody fixed it. And yeah, somebody did fix it and is owning it. There's a new camera there. Brand new security camera. So if whoever is looking at that is listening, good on you, man. Thank you for saving this building, keeping it used. And I think right here there was another spur. Or is that another piece of scrap rail? No, that's what's left of another spur. This is the only rail that's visible. But it probably joined with a switch somewhere right in here. Which would probably mean, if I'm right, that the switch flag I saw is probably where that switch used to terminate at or start. Not terminate, listen to me talk. More scrap rail there that they replaced. Everything's pricking me or something. Some ties they'll probably have to replace. Better run down the road. Dang it, I must have some kind of thorn. Yeah, you can see the main line's getting a little overgrown. Nothing a little bit of weed killer can fix. Yeah, but I remember when I was a lot younger, back when that whole cement plant was still in use, there was a small freight train parked here that had a one of the Hartwell's locomotives and one of that I think they were leasing, if I recall. It was a leased Union Pacific unit, and they had a short consist of just miscellaneous cars. That's pretty. Up there. Got a carpenter bee pollinating those. Good sign that spring is here. I'm sure there was a spur to this business here at one point. But yeah, there's the main line that continues on to Bishop, and then from there is abandoned on the outside of the Bishop's city limits, through Appalachia, through Farmington, and is impassable just before the city limits of Madison. From what Zena told me, they're going to try and start reopening that portion of the railroad at some time in the near future. I don't know the exact date, and I'm not going to give the exact date because projects like that take time and take a good bit of financial backup, you know, saved money and whatnot. And I'm walking on the portion of the track that's actually clear and not weed grown, mainly to just avoid snakes and whatnot. And you can see where some ties do need to be replaced. Like these three here would probably need to get replaced. I mean, you can tell which ties need to be replaced. Like I think this one's, or the one that was here, is pretty much gone. But again, I'm trying to clarify to those who are assuming this rail line's abandoned, like I said in a few earlier videos. That's not true. This rail line is not abandoned. It's still in use intermittently. And if they're not sending through trains through here, then it's mostly car storage. Over in Athens right now, they're using that portion of this rail line to store cars. I think when they told me they were going to get the Bishop portion reopened, they're going to use that for car storage as well. So, yeah. What I'm curious about though is, are they going to try and get the rest of this scrap rail that's scattered about removed when they remove the rest of that up there? I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll try to, I would think. Because it'd give them a chance to get rid of a lot of this stuff, this trackside, like right here. Scrap rail there that they had to replace. That could be hauled off. Now that right there, that's a new tie because the creosote's leaching out. A lot of the ties that are new or semi-new still have some form of creosote seeping out. Now a good example here, these ties were replaced. They ripped them out and replaced them. All these ties here ripped them out and replaced them. Aha! That's probably what they used to cut all the old track loose at the spur. Old saw blade there. That would probably need to be fixed. That's just waving in the wind there. I'd imagine that's for the crossing circuit, if I'm not mistaken. I saw where Danny Harmon posted a video. Sorry, the video cut off, so this is going to be a two-parter. Yeah, I saw where Danny Harmon posted a video regarding that sort of thing. Regarding, you know, what kind of crossing circuits were in use on most railroads. And now here's the old switch for that older spur that goes off to the left. Still in good condition, save for a few plants in the way. I guarantee you this lock's probably from the Southern Railway. It's a heavy duty sucker. Good luck breaking through that, because you ain't gonna do that. But yeah, Bethlehem Steel made switch. I've been meaning to look up what company makes these now, because Bethlehem Steel's been gone since 2003 or 4. So I'm wondering if there's just that big of a surplus of old switches, or if a company's taking that patent and is making new ones. I don't know. I'll have to I'll ask Xena about that. He'll probably know better than I will. But yeah, returning to where we once came. Is going to be where I conclude this. And if you're wondering if I'm getting pictures, the answer is yes, but for stuff relating to this, I'm mostly getting pictures for modeling purposes. Since I'm part of the Rails Unlimited staff team, I'm going to try and get pictures. I'm trying to get pictures of the crossing so that so that they have reference photos that they can use for modeling purposes. Basically general stuff like that. Give or take. Give or take. Anyways, seeing as I'm back to where I started this recording, I am most likely going to end it here. So with that being said, till next time, this is Railroad Preserver 2000, signing out.